The fifth most visited website in the world now is. Let's go for another episode of whatever the hell this is. Jeff, is this Social Genius or Drunk on Social? What is this?
It's you and me getting together to discuss strategy, and that's what matters.
All right. Social media strategy, approaching it that way. You know what I'm surprised about? And then we'll get into it. The fifth most visited website in the world now is ChatGPT, man. That came out of, well, it didn't come out of nowhere, but damn, that jumped in fast.
Hmm.
It was WhatsApp for a
Not,
little
su-
bit and then
I'm
X.
not, I'm not surprised, man. I don't like live on Reddit, but I get like a morning update for Reddit. Somehow I signed up for that, and so it's always got like a tease of a post. And I'm telling you, for the last 2 months, it's actually getting old. That's what all the Gen Zers are talking about, and they live in conversation with ChatGPT. So I don't even go usually. It doesn't spark my interest as much as it used to because it's always ChatGPT now on Reddit, which tells me there's an entire generation of humans living in ChatGPT, probably to the extent of how they lived in TikTok. It's
Interesting.
pretty wild.
Well, on that note, Reddit is number 9 on the list now, which is crazy. And TikTok is number 13, which has come up quite a bit. Um,
TikTok?
TikTok is 13 most visited website in the world. This
I
is
feel like
monthly.
I feel like it's been hanging in those teens though now longer than I
Well,
would have anticipated.
it's increased its position because it was like 19, 17. Now 13's massive. I'm surprised with Reddit, right? That's why I was like, and by the way, everyone, this is episode 183. I was just like,
Not
if
that
you're,
anybody's counting, but if you
I was
were,
like, this is what's up, Brian? Thank you for watching. All the 183 of those are listening to them. We love Brian. Jeff, last week we
speak
talked
for yourself.
about.
Speak for yourself on loving Brian.
Listen, I only love Brian. Jeff hates Brian. But what can we do? Jeff puts up with him. I embrace him.
Hey, by the way, I think, and he'll watch this or listen to this. I think he's coming to visit me in the Ozarks. Like in a couple of weeks, maybe. He hasn't confirmed, but yeah. So Brian, maybe you should confirm that, pal.
Nice. He's supposed to come and visit me during the Olympics in LA, I think.
Oh yeah, that's a good time. You might get a lot of visitors. Hey Tristan, can I crash at your place?
So, hey, you got an extra room. You got an extra, yeah. So fun. The word's
Hey,
getting around, dude.
I might hit you up on that legit.
Come down, dude. You know we have that extra room. Nobody's
That's
there.
right. I'll bring
It's Jeff.
Sarah though, so
It's
I'll bring
Jeff.
Sarah to soften the blow.
Yeah, it's Jeff and Sarah's room. There you go. All right. We talked about your strategy a little bit. Well, half of it, because you've got another half. Can you bring us up to speed as to where you're at with the first portion, and then let's transition into the second half?
Yeah, let me go ahead and just backtrack into everything. So we currently have Lake of the Ozarks lifestyle. There's steadily, slowly growing 15 to 16,000 subs, which has now evolved into kind of like being the catch-all for everything Lake of the Ozarks. There's really not a very direct strategy or niche, I would say. And I think that also, although I think it's great and it's what it is, it's also, I think, hinders potential big growth on YouTube because it's not niche enough. It's a real estate listing 1 week, it's a market update another, it's a business highlight another, it's highlighting a local personality, it's all these things, right? And so our growth, as I've talked about, has really been primarily attributed to shorts. We can't get a ton of traction on our longs. We are happy when we get about, into the thousands of views on a long. Like that's successful for us, which isn't going to make me any money from a monetization standpoint.
True.
So that's going to continue like that. But as we discussed in the last one, we're going to niche, or we're going to branch out into niches. The first one we believe we're going to call uh, touring Lake of the Ozarks real estate,
Okay.
something like that. We haven't done it yet. I'm going to launch it after. I'm currently in the phase of lining up about 8 to 12 properties that we're going to shoot and get them
Okay.
all ready so that when we launch the channel, we'll probably do a blitz of, we'll eventually end up on a cadence of once a week, but we'll probably blitz it in the beginning with 2 or 3 a week for the first few weeks, if that makes sense.
That does make
Um,
sense, dude. I love that. All
following
right.
following
So
Brett Baker.
how would you how would you say somebody should start if they're trying to follow your pattern?
Gosh, that's tough. I think because, well, I mean, I think you can learn from me, and I think you can go all in on a niche. But I think part of identification of niches is being broad. I think in some cases it isn't a bad thing to start, at the top of the funnel and then funnel it in, right? And I don't mean that from a lead funnel perspective. I mean it literal funnel. And I think there is some benefit to doing that unless you feel like you're very dialed in. And I'll give you a little I don't know if it's a good example, but I've got a lender who's a client of ours who's very sure that he wants to target self-employed borrowers. And that's his niche. And he's very convicted in this. And I said, then here's what you have to know. We're going to go down this path. We're going to create content all around that. You're never going to go viral. You're never going to have a massive following, but you are going to train the algorithm. I shouldn't say never. It's unlikely, right? Because it's just not that interesting. However, the algorithm will very clearly understand your niche, know who to show it to, and you will churn leads. Eventually, stick with this. And so you have to decide, are you in that convicted phase or are you in the phase of, I'm not sure, I kind of want to be like Jeff and be broad based in a geographic area? Then do it my way and figure out what your audience's reactions are to what you want to niche into. And so that's a broad answer to a simple question.
Well, I think we needed the broadness because if you think about the approach in general, let's say we're all good at one thing and we start there, we have to show up with that broadness to understand what we're good at. We have to niche in. So, like, let's say I wanted to go the route of writing and reading and journaling, right? It's kind of broad, but as I start showing up with all those things, people may gravitate to specifically what journals I'm using. And then I'm like, oh, got it. Now I know how to show up, right? And I think most people don't want to go through that process. So it's really cool watching you go through the process because a year from now, you'll have niched down even more. And then you'll still be testing stuff out to be like, okay, let's keep on testing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
this, man.
Yeah. It's I mean, the truth is the broad strategy I would argue is probably the best strategy for a real estate agent, lender, local business, because when you become the source, like, you know, I have become identified as that guy at the Lake of the Ozarks on even a national level. In fact, dude, like, I've gotten countless leads over the years. There's a recent one. I don't know where he did this. It could have been Lab Coat Agents. It could have been some other real estate group. The guy is from Pennsylvania, nowhere near Missouri. Don't know the guy from Adam. Sends me a text message or a DM, I can't remember, and says, "Hey, I was referred to you. I've got my son who's in Versailles, which is around the lake area, is looking to buy a home and he wants to blah, 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 all this stuff." And I asked him, "Where did you get my information?" He goes, "I went to a Facebook group and I asked who's the best resource, who's the best source at the Lake of the Ozarks." I was referred, unbeknownst to me, right? And so, that's, I think, what we're all after, especially in a micro geographic area. I have more national influence as a result of Tristan's platform, Lab Code Agents. But for many of you, like this can work for you in a local area because I'm not even a real estate agent and I get referred. And then nobody cares when I'm like, hey, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'll refer you to one. And then I ask them questions like, would you prefer to work with a male or a female? What area are you looking for? What type? I ask them a bunch of qualifying questions. And then I really just, between you and the listeners, I just rotate who I match them up with. I'm not really caring what they're, unless they're very specific. I want a female or I want this or I want that. Typically the answer is I don't care. But dude, it provides, it creates opportunity. And I think that influence is overlooked. And that's why we're discussing this today. That's why now here I am. So back to the point of my answer. I think most of you listening to this are doing this to drive your business, not to drive monetization. In other words, going broad doesn't matter for the grander goal of monetization because the odds of any of you monetizing is probably slim to none. That's kind of why I'm niching. I'm niching for two reasons, Tristan. The first is monetization. The second is a chip on my shoulder. Um, as Tristan knows, I have a chip on my shoulder to all of the many people that have told me that this won't work, that don't believe in it. And I just want to give a big F you to all of them. I want to become the Zillow of the Lake of the Ozarks, which we've discussed. So I can control the lead. And I don't even really care about the money, Tristan. I care about the middle finger. That's what I care about. So when I control the lead and that person comes groveling to me, I can say, go fly a kite. You should have trusted me a year ago when we talked.
Dude, I love that. That's good.
I don't know if that's the right reasons,
That's a
but
great reason. What are you talking about? Everything we do is based on feeling, right?
yeah.
So I love that. What feeling are you getting from this? Interesting. I love what you're doing, man. I think niching down eventually happens along the way. So that's something we can learn as we're listening to this as well. So let's shift over to the Airbnb
Yeah, the
strategy.
next one.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
next one. Tell me what you're doing there.
So by the way, that is a result of the influence. The owner of a short-term rental company, legitimately, the first time I met him, said to me, "I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity," and this was like 2 years ago, dude. Uh, no joke. So I wasn't even a fraction of what I am today. And I remember that vividly because I walked into their condo, onto their deck, and the guy looked like he was like giddy. Um, we've become really good friends, and now we're doing business partnership together. And he wants more of. He gets it. Like he understands influence matters. When I met them, they had zero properties under management, and today they're approaching 70. Not quite 2 years later. Yeah,
That's pretty big, man.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so
They're doing really good. So
tell me what
we
this looks like.
we are talking about branching out and creating another business, which is going to be a concierge type business for short-term management companies or people that want to manage their own companies, so that renters have a source for all the things. Okay, now we're coming there. Where do I rent a boat? Where do I put my boat in the water? Where can I get the best dinner reservations? Where's the best steak restaurant? Where's the best place on the water? Where's the closest place to me on the water? Where can I rent lily pads? Where can I rent a kayak? And we're going to provide that source to all of them. So we came up with the business idea, and what followed that was we need to control the media space. And so I said we need to create a channel that's very SEO friendly, that's going to be something called Vacationing at Lake of the Ozarks. Um, I went to ChatGPT on this. Let me share this with you because it was interesting what ChatGPT told me, and I learned this. ChatGPT actually said, do you want SEO friendly or SEO? He says brand with SEO support. And I said, what do you mean by brand with SEO support? It says you're creating a name that sounds like a brand, is shorter or catchier, but still ranks well in search results. That was basically the answer. And it said what it suggested was, because I was thinking vacation at Lake of the Ozarks, which it was suggesting is too long.
Hmm.
So it's saying do something shorter with an SEO tagline combo.
Oh, okay. What did it what are we looking at? Any options that are
So Yeah, we have, it gave us 10 options. We are probably going to settle on Lotto Vacation Vibes as our brand friendly
Okay.
one, and then with a tagline of something like uncover the best stays and experiences at Lake of the Ozarks. So that's a
Yeah.
longer SEO version.
Lake of the and lots of people that are local or know the area type it in as Lotto.
People understand Lotto or LOZ. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So we're choosing which one, and I am actually creating a bunch of brand merch. I'm doing a bunch of merch with Lotto on it. So I'm actually pushing the narrative on Lotto becoming more the mainstream
Hmm.
abbreviation with
So
merch.
give it to
But
me again. Lotto what?
Lotto Vacation Vibes,
Lotto Vacation Vibes. And then
and
the,
then
the subheading.
tagline: uncover the best stays and experiences at Lake of the Ozarks.
Oh, I love that. Okay, because then if you have that tagline underneath, you now have more SEO because you're fully telling people that don't know what Lotto is. So that's good. I
Yep.
love that. That's
Yeah,
great.
and then the idea is it's going to be so although the idea is so same concept as what we did with what you know the kind of the chip on my shoulder with the real estate channel. This is not a chip on the shoulder, more of a strategy, but it's kind of like a chip on the shoulder where we're basically want to create the media channels that a either a really honestly, we're targeting the individual homeowner here because the individual homeowner either manages it themselves or they hire a company, right? We want the individual homeowner to see our channel and say, my property has to get promoted on that channel. Like that's the source. So again, we want to out Airbnb in our market.
Yeah. So you're pretty much doing what what you're doing against Zillow for real estate, but you're doing it
Correct.
for Airbnb. So in this
Correct.
case, Airbnb is the Zillow, which is smart. All right. So then
Exactly.
give me the pillars to this. Like, are you going to have a um, blog, like a New York Times type thing? Are you going to have a website like that, or that gives you
It's
news and directory?
it's going to start on social again.
Okay.
It'll turn, you know, we'll I don't know where it's going to go, to be honest with you, because Lotto Lifestyle, which is kind of like the mothership of all of this, is going to start an email. We're starting an email thing real soon. And I don't know if I want to start multiple email deals. What will probably happen is they will be features within Lotto Lifestyles email blasts, right? Um, what ChatGPT suggested was again because I well of course I prompted it but I said you know talking about doing a video blitz doing a blitz of posts in the beginning and it suggested a bunch of evergreen discovery content so I told it that we want to keep these videos between 8 and 15 minutes. We really are going to focus it around things to do while on vacation at the Lake of the Ozarks while then sprinkling in. So probably a 75-25, 70-30 split where the greater number is things to do on vacation and then the smaller is going to be properties or when we highlight things to do in an area, like you know, the three best golf courses in Camdenton, so a very specific area of the lake. Towards the end of the video, we'll say, and here's three properties that are very near these golf courses if you'd like to, you know, blah blah blah. Um, so it suggested things like this: top 10 things to do at the Lake of the Ozarks, best waterfront bars with boat access, most family friendly attractions at the lake, hidden gem vacation rentals, budget friendly fun at the lake, boat rental 101, best breakfast spots with a view, rainy day activities. So, like evergreen content, that's what it suggests we blitz it with. And then we get into our cadence of once a week. That's just YouTube. So we're kind of building everything around YouTube.
I love that. YouTube's the second most visited website in the world.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And then you can have the team grab all that info and just break it down into
Yeah.
smaller or create
Yeah.
graphics from it or dude, it's yeah.
I will also say I'm partnering with people on this stuff. I'm partnering with videographers because, you know, as somebody might be thinking to themselves, holy shit, like how are you going to pull this off? And the answer right today is I don't know. but I'll tell you what I'm doing is part of the answer is I've been doing it all myself. Mine, having a team of editors, of course, to help, but I think I need more local help. So what we're doing, like on the real estate one, I'm partnering. We're going to create an LLC for the YouTube channel, and that's going to be a business. And I have a young videographer who's a college student, but really good, who is basically going to go out and shoot all the properties for me. So I don't have to worry about that. And then he'll upload that stuff to the team. And we talked about how I'm going to do voiceovers on those. We got to make it efficient, right? So that's that. The vacation one, I'm partnering with the short-term rental guy and a separate videographer who's one of the best at the lake because he's excited about this. And so again, he's going to shoot the stuff. I'm going to voice over it. And we've already broken this down. Like, what are our roles? Zach's going to be like the salesman. He's the owner of the short term rental. I'm like, you got to go out, find us the places, find us the people to interview, and then eventually we're going to have you sell it, right? Because we're going to figure out how to monetize this thing. Exposure to short-term rental owners, packages to local businesses, affiliate partnerships, shit like that. So that's his role. My role, of course, is to be the face of it, to be the talent, to be the voiceover guy, and then we've got a videographer. So we're partnering on this. I'm not being greedy. These are my ideas, but I'm like, I can't make this go without a team, without an army. So we're just going to split up, our roles here to make it more efficient.
Dude, it takes a team. I love this. Great
Yeah.
job. This is a good breakdown so people can start seeing what's possible out there because there are a lot of opportunities, but we don't jump on it because we think, well, I can't do this by myself. Bring in a team. Dude, love this. Let's continue this talk. Everyone
Yeah.
have an awesome day. Jeff, you rock, buddy.
Next week or 2 weeks, because next week at the time of this recording is Memorial Day, we're gonna get into Tristan. That might be a couple of episodes, and then we'll revert back to me to see where we are in the process. I'm saying that for two reasons. One, so N can make note, so she can remind us, and two, because you know what to look forward to.
Thanks, everybody.